My podcast. I'm your guest Anurag. I'm back with another new guest, Cathy Graham from Desert Financial Credit Union. Hi, Cathy. Good to have you in my podcast. Hi.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So we bumped into each other, from a LinkedIn post. We gelled up. I thought of inviting Cathy, and she was kind enough to say an yes right away. I didn't expect it to be that easy, Cathy, but thank you for appreciating what we are doing and supporting the cause. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Great. So I'll do a quick introduction about Cathy. Cathy, that's fine. Or do you want to go yourself? Either way is fine.
But you know what? You're driving.
Perfect. Uh, so Kathy is EVP of Desert Financial Credit Union. Uh, okay, while we were chatting, I mean, I was just telling her, is there anything that you don't do over there? So let me talk about a list of things that Kathy does. She oversees marketing, strategy, lending, wealth management, branches, get even contact centers, right? So almost everything.
Yes.
So one very unique thing which I found while talking to her, that her primary focus is coaching and developing leaders, and that's her absolute passion, right? Uh, Essentially, she wants to become a certified and an executive coach to follow that passion, and that's absolutely a great idea, I would say. uh, Kathy has a daughter. On the personal side, Kathy has a daughter, two beautiful granddaughters we were talking about previously. Uh, a few crazy things that I discovered just a few minutes back while talking to her. She has innate interest in lip syncing. Okay, so that's a separate chat to have for a day. We can do a separate episode about that. She's that passionate, right? We can talk for half an hour on the lip syncing episodes that she has had in the past 3 years, and she's become a consistent winner in all competitions she's competed, right? That's there. Now, obviously, someone like Akati, she would sit in a bunch of boards. Now, even this is a long list, and hence we just joke. We're joking together that maybe it'll take 4 minutes to even cover your introduction, right? And I believe it is almost it, right? So she sits on a bunch of boards, right? I wouldn't do justice if I don't cover the boards. She sits on the board of Desert Financials, Wealth Management, then on the Mortgage Solutions, that's the second one. There's a QSO, SwitchThink Solutions, BB Pacific Southwest. The most interesting one, she sits in the board of Free Arts of Abused Children of Arizona. So that's something really interesting to me. I'll take a pause, Kathy. In case I have missed anything, please feel free to go ahead and add. Or yep,
I think you've done an excellent job. Nothing to add.
then might be you might consider taking me to every places that you go around.
Just wherever I go, you can enter the
You
room
enter
first.
before you enter. I'm like, hello. I'll do the introduction for you, right? Good. Okay, I'm happy that I did a relatively decent job talking about
You
you.
did great.
Thank you about that. Cool. So for everyone, right? Again, welcome Kathy to the podcast. I'll start with one quick burning question, which everyone has, right? So you are in a leadership position of a relatively huge credit union in this country, right? So what has been your journey throughout?
I started out at a credit union. I thought I needed a job, and so I'm like, I'll just take this job until I was in marketing, and I thought I was going to work for an agency or something. So I'll just work at this little credit union, and I fell in love with the industry. So I took every opportunity to learn new things. So I started off doing writing and graphic design. And then we got a marketing database system, and they said, somebody needs to learn to use this. And I said, I'll do it. I went from writing and design to like data and analysis and running a database. And that really transformed my thinking about about marketing into, like using insights and data to make smart business decisions. And that, I think that's what really got me on the path to leadership, because I probably would have stayed on the creative side as an individual contributor, but I started to write business plans based on data. And I think that's what really launched me into getting into my first leadership role.
That's interesting. I mean, I echo the same thing, right? I mean, unless you take a decision that's backed by data, specifically in marketing, it's very
Yeah.
difficult to justify. I mean, MROI is a very wrong term to use for credit unions, but still,
Yeah.
marketing effectiveness, right? So, marketing effectiveness is no longer, I would say, qualitative, it's very quant right now. There are
Yeah.
matrices that you need to report, you have to justify the ROI of whatever spend you're doing. So I think that's been a fantastic journey from you, and you have understood it since age long, and hence I think that helped you prepare in your career from moving to IC doing creatives to leading the entire function, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting, right? So across similar lines, Kathy, right? So, what are your insights on leadership style and philosophy, right? So, you've been a proven leader from since many years now. You run a bunch of almost the entire front end of the credit union, right? Hundreds of people report to you. So, what is your leadership style? I mean, do you think? I mean, if I punt this question in this way, there are two components to it: IQ and EQ, right? So, how do you think both of them come into action while being a leader? And second, what is your style? What is your unique style that you go and wear every single day?
I think it's most people get promoted into leadership because they have some technical expertise in an area and you become a super high performer. And so then you move into a leadership role. And then you quickly realize it's not about your technical expertise. So when I started off in leadership, my approach was I wanted everyone to like me. I was super nice and fun, and we did team building, and that worked great when everybody was on board for what I wanted them to do. But it blew up in my face when people weren't on board. So I went through a really tough time. I had a great executive coach who really helped me to transform. And today, my goal as a leader is to operate as a coach. So I really try to help people to step outside their comfort zones. I will push people, but I'll tell them, hey, I know I'm pushing you. I know this feels uncomfortable, but it's because I want to help them grow. So I really focus on developing people, learning where they want to go. What's important to you? Is it money? Is it title? Is it something that has nothing to do with that? You just want to learn a new skill. So where do you want to go? And what do I see that could be in your way? And how do I come along beside you to help you work through that? So it truly is all about developing people. I have a lot of areas that report to me. I don't have in-depth knowledge of all those areas. I don't even try to. I really try to help the leaders and support the teams.
That's the absolute approach, right? I mean, I remember the time, Kathy, when I had a team of maybe 5 or 6, like 5 years back. I used to consider myself a kid, like 24, 25, 25. I was to have a team of 5 or 6. So at that point of time, I was working with Accenture. So being from the think consulting background, one of my partners at Accenture told me this golden sentence: EQ is more important than IQ. I was
Yeah.
like, what is that? I was like, Anurag, you're a kid right now. You're fresh from campus. You have a team, but always ensure that they respect you because of the person you are and not the work you do. That's one. And second, always feel what they do, right? And always try to
Yeah.
coach them. I mean, I was a kid. How can I even coach people? But still, I tried coaching that small group of people, and I'm still in touch with them no matter what. We are in different parts of the world altogether, but we still hop on to calls, talk live. I think that's so important. That empathy is so important, and I feel great when you talk about the same little things. It's not necessary that you're going to weeds of what your team does, but
Yeah.
knowing overall and supporting them, coaching them, pushing them to the next level. That's the way how people grow, right? I mean, that's the way even how I've grown. But yeah, that's a very insightful thing from a leader like you who leads a relatively bigger team, right? So now, as you know, this podcast is about celebrating women leaders, right? Celebrating female leaders who walked across this long mile from. I mean, I've spoken to credit union CEOs, started their career as being a teller. Teller to a CEO is always a journey, right? Now, obviously, you're not a teller. I mean, you started doing something different, but I'm sure it hasn't been an easy journey. That too, maybe starting 30 years back when there were not many female leaders. Right now, there are still people coming up. So if I ask you, a pointed question, so what tips and advice would you have for my, I would say, audience? I almost ask this question to all of my guests. I'll do the same thing to you. What tips and advice do you have for my audience who are aspiring female leaders, maybe in their late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, and they aspire to become a credit union CEO or a EVP for sure, right? So, what is your advice to them? How should they look at, their path to overcome obstacles? It's not easy to overcome obstacles for female leaders. Let's put it that way, right? So, what is
Yeah.
your advice to budding leaders?
I would say more than looking at, what's my next role, what's my next promotion, but really being purposeful and identifying leaders that you can see that grow their people. Seek out roles where you can report to somebody that invests in others. Excuse me. You're going to grow so much more. I've had 8 different leaders in my career. 3 of them were amazing, and 5 of them weren't. And I grew even under the leaders that weren't amazing, but it was all on me. The 3 leaders that I reported to that believed in me and invested in me, my growth was huge. And, the last one, the leader that I report to now, our CEO, I never in a million years thought that I would have areas like wealth management and lending and contact centers under me. I was a marketer, and he believed in me and stretched me and just was like, well, of course you can do that. Of course you can, Cathy. So really understanding that a supportive leader can really unleash you, and you can grow exponentially and really seek out somebody. I want to go work for her. I want to work for him, because people grow when they do.
I know. That was so special, right? But when your leaders support you, you go to the next level. But at the end of the day, it's your onus. It's your onus to find the role that
Oh,
you
you own your part for sure. Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, Kathy, if I'm moving too fast, but in the last 9 years, I've changed 5 roles. I was a developer to start with, then I moved into analytics, was a analyst, grew up to become a data scientist. Then I became an engagement lead. Now I lead growth, right? So and this has been, sorry, I was a product manager at some point of time, 6 roles, right? But every single time I reinvented myself and I thought, what do I want to do and what suits me the best? Now I finally found my calling. The growth is what
Yeah.
suits me, and that's what my passion lies in. And I have enough supporting folks here at EXL who believe that I do this thing out of my passion, and that absolutely echoes to what you think, right? Finding that passion, finding that correct goal. But again, a question to you, right? Not everyone is as informed as you. I meet a lot of credit union colleagues, right? Exactly of my age or a bit older. I would name the person. Yesterday, I was talking to a director of a relatively bigger credit union, around 10 billion of your size, director of analytics. So he had a basic question, right? That Anurag has spent around 5 years in this credit union, right? I don't know what's my next move should be, right? So people are not aware or not, they don't know what to do next. So what
Yeah.
do you suggest in that situation when people are not aware? How do you go and make yourself self-aware, and how do you seek out for help? Because that's the most important thing.
I think it's a couple of things. I think it's being willing to raise your hand and try something new. So the organization is starting a new initiative, or they need somebody to do something, and you're like, I've never done that, but I'll try that. Raise your hand. Be curious, and don't be too worried if your next step isn't clear. Just come to work and run your race. Show up and add value every day, and an opportunity is going to happen. I never thought I would have this job. My ultimate career goal 10 years ago was to be CMO. And 2 years after I got CMO, I got EVP, and I thought, wait a second, that was never in the plan. And I remember being like, well, okay, what's my job? I don't know how to be an EVP. And I told everybody for 90 days, I don't know what my job is. And then I just decided, hey, I get to decide. What if I show up every day and help people to reach their potential? Because I never thought I would have this role. I never thought I would be in a position to help as many people as I am, and to share when I've fallen down and I've messed up, and how do I support and help people, and it feels amazing. But I just show up and do the best job that you can and add value, and something is going to open up for you.
Kathy, I mean, I know I have, maybe one fourth of an experience that you have, but this is so relatable. I mean, I can be vulnerable in front of you. Yeah, I mean, you're like a mother figure to me, as simple as that, right? So, long story short, maybe 9 years back, right? So when I was in my engineering university, I hated it. I never wanted to study engineering. So, but like all Indians, what we do, we end up doing engineering to figure out we do not want to do engineering. And after that, we figure out what do you want to do, right? That's exactly what happened with me. So I went to a non-target engineering school, did engineering, went out, came out of the campus, started doing software development to understand that how much I hate it, right? So then I wanted to do management consulting or analytics. It was really, really difficult for me to get into management consulting without a non-target school. Got through. After that, exactly the same thing. Show up every day. I mean, a basic question, right? The show must go on. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what. And put your best. I mean, in whatever you do, right? It might be you might not be a amazing, scholar or an, in academics, but if you show up every single day in your job and you do what's right, that's what an organization needs. Or even if you want to start something of your own, it's that passion that drives you every single day in the morning. So yeah, this is so well taken. And I mean, for my
I
audience,
want to
like,
add one thing. I
go
always
ahead.
say every day that you show up for work, you're interviewing for your next job.
I would say absolutely yes. You're
Yeah.
having additional learnings, experiences. I mean, to that point, right? Exactly. I mean, people get surprised that I travel 70% of the time, right? I mean, I stay in New York for maybe 2 days a week or 3 days a week. For the next week, I travel, and it's not easy, but I love doing that, right? I mean, also that perspective is important. If you show up in the job, and you should love what you do. Otherwise, it's very difficult to sustain. I mean, look at yourself, right? Leading marketing, wealth management, contact centers, entire front end. You love what you do for years, and hence you've been able to grow to that role to manage this amount of a gamut of experience, right? So yeah, I mean, since I talk a lot, let me move to the next question. Otherwise, we'll continue chit chatting about our personal lives of what feels, right? Makes sense. Cool. One thing I've heard about, about your credit union, that it's very forward thinking, right? Desert is obviously very forward thinking credit union. I've met a bunch of people around, but I mean, I didn't expect that I'll talk to Kathy directly someday. So it's also a fan moment for me. So, so if I ask from the directly from the horse's mouth, right? So, what is the priority of your credit union? I mean, what is the basic tenets of values that Desert embodies? One, and second, what is the priority? I mean, where do you want to expand? Where do you want to serve members better? If you can maybe cover something of that sort.
I would say for the last 7 or 8 years, we really have been focused on the culture and being really clear about what we stand for, our why, our mission, vision, values. And I know that that can often come across as fluff, but we've gotten really clear about who we are and what we stand for. And so our mission and vision and values is actually part of our corporate strategy. So we have a 3-word corporate strategy: give and grow. That's it.
Nice.
Everybody in our company knows that our strategy is give and grow. And when we say give, it means give back in meaningful ways to our members, our employees, and the community. Meaningful ways. Not once a year we give $10,000 to, the local children's hospital, but we give back millions of dollars. We just gave a member give back bonus to our members of $20 million in February. We fully fund our employees' tuition. Any employee can go to ASU and get their degree, and we'll pay for it. It's
Wow.
not reimbursement, and they don't have to get an A or a B, and they can study anything, and we pay for it.
Get me a job. Get me a
Yeah,
job.
and we
Right?
give back millions in the community. So we give back
Wow.
in meaningful ways because we believe that if we invest in people, we will grow. So we have had a 5-year BHAG to go from around 300,000 members to 500,000 members. We're going to hit that in 12 months. We're going to get to 500,000 members, and then we want to get to 1 million members, but we're not. But we really want to do that by investing in people. So we're really starting to be focused, and I think this is where the whole credit union movement is going. Really starting to be focused on financial well-being, really leaning into financial well-being, and how are we helping people to have a positive relationship with their money, a positive outlook on their financial future, and lean into that, and understanding that growth will come from that. Help first, sell second is kind of like the philosophy, and it feels great to work for a company that thinks like that. I think credit unions, that's inherent in our industry, and I see a lot of credit unions really leaning in there.
That's good to hear, Kathy. I have a burning question that I ask almost all of my credit union friends. Um, that an average member age of a community financial institution is a bit south of 50, or hovers around 48 to 51, right? Whereas the average age of an American is around 37 to 38, right? So there's definitely a 15-year difference that's there. Now, what is Desert doing to not attract, I would say attract is the right word, right? Attract a member like me to come and join, who's I call myself a zillennial, a mix between, the very early millennials, I'm 31 millennial and Gen Z, someone like me, or even the folks who are in their school right now, right? So what are you doing different
Yeah.
in the ecosystem, to serve this segment?
Our average member age is about 42, so we are
That's pretty
naturally
good.
attracting younger, and we need to make sure that we're retaining them. So really looking on once they're joining, are we getting them to activate? Is their credit card top of wallet? Are they using it? Is that the card that they have in Amazon? How are we making sure that they're getting onboarded using our online mobile banking, all that good stuff? We also signed a partnership. We are the official retail banking partner of ASU University. And we have branches on campus, or we have teams that are out there every week, whatever ASU has going on, whether it's, kids coming back to school or events. We have activations out there. We do random acts of kindness on campus, give people tablets or, gift cards, but we are engaging with that community, and demonstrating that we're here for them and that we have products and services that can meet their needs, but also that we're fun, we care, and I think we have to also keep our eye on what is the technology, what are the experiences that young adults want to have. We're not just competing with banks and credit unions, we're competing with Spotify and Netflix and
Exactly.
what can I do easily on my phone? And I better be able to do that with my credit union too. So, person to person payments and early direct deposit and, what's all the stuff that they just expect, that we need to be able to deliver on top of, making sure we have great products and services.
Absolutely. Since you touched upon Netflix and Spotify, surprisingly, that's an example I take everyone. That now millennials or Gen Zs look for a Spotify and Amazon like experience, or a Netflix like experience,
Yep.
from a financial institution, because the bar has raised so much, right? I want to quote something, Kathy, over here, a research by Ron Shevlin. We're talking about Ron, right? I'll say hi to him again. So, a research by Ron Shevlin and by Cornerstone Advisors, the number of checking account. Okay, let me ask you to guess it, right? Do you think, is there any fintech who has a maximum number of checking accounts that's opening right now, compared to any top 10 banks? Can you make a guess? There's a fintech that has more checking account right now than any banks
I
that has
feel like
opened last year.
SoFi,
It's
who?
time.
Oh, yeah,
Just imagine the
yeah.
tectonic shift, right? Chime coming in, disrupting the entire ecosystem, right? not even a top 10 bank has
Yeah.
the equal number of checking accounts that were opened last year. Now think about a credit union, right? Now you're a relatively bigger credit union. For the smaller credit unions to go and compete against Chime, that's
Yeah.
like huge, right? It's like, I mean, competing against a huge marketing machinery for a smaller credit union. Plus, I think to your point, an experience is very important, right? I mean, if I want to go and apply for a personal loan or maybe a mortgage, I would prefer having that Chime experience, right? Going and just within a couple of minutes, completing all my formalities, tuck, 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 done. My credit check is done. I get the loan, the personal loan in a few minutes. So, I mean, I'm glad to hear that Desert is focusing also on member experience a lot, because that's the way how you grow. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can spend a lot of money in marketing, getting a lot of right members to your door, but unless you have that same experience across the ecosystem, it's like a
Yeah.
big funnel which won't convert, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
if I put it in that way, so that's a good thing to hear about what you're doing. Another thing which I know that you're passionate about, Kathy, is running the Office of Strategy Management, right? So
Yes.
tell us a bit more. I mean, what do you do in that office? What is that office designed for?
So, not that long ago, our strategic planning was like every other credit union. Once a year, you get together with the board and you have fancy dinners and you go through some painful exercises with sticky notes and flip charts and somebody's leading it and your head hurts at the end of the day, but you put something together and you don't think about it for 6 months until you owe the board an update. And then everybody scrambles and looks at everything they did in 6 months and goes, okay, that was part of the strategic plan. Yeah. And strategic planning was painful. And so we decided that we wanted to stand up a function in the organization to manage our strategy, because we were just dabbling in it. We're just dabbling in strategy. We were trying to fit it in between the other work we were doing, or we would do it once a year. And so we created an Office of Strategy Management where we have several full-time people, one person who is on our senior management team that is working across the business to make sure that we are working on our strategic plan and making meaningful progress every day. And it has been transformational. I mean,
Yep.
the work that we're doing every day is aligned to our strategy. It's rare that there's a project that we're working on that we can't connect directly back to our strategy. And it's really democratized it. So every member of our senior management team is a part of our strategic planning process. They have a voice and a vote, what we work on, how we prioritize. And so we're just moving so much more quickly because we have dedicated resources. And we don't, there's a saying, if you want to know what a company's strategy is, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. And what we do and what we say are the same thing now, where they weren't, 10 years ago.
That's a big move, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for a credit union to establish a strategy office. I mean, I've seen maybe one in. I mean, I might be totally off, but my experience, I've seen one of 50 credit unions doing it. It's a very rare initiative that you develop and hire a chief strategy officer, right, for a credit union to strategize. I think this dovetails into not only your both strategies but also your digital transformation strategies. How do you use data, AI, development of new products, compliance? I think this dovetails into the entire ecosystem. I think this is a very good move that you've done, and I can clearly see you're very passionate about this. I would love to learn about this more after my podcast. This seems really interesting.
Absolutely. I could talk to you about it all day. All day.
We'll do that. Let me come to Phoenix for a cup of tea. Absolutely, I'll do that.
Awesome.
So cool. One last question, before I wrap up, right? So you've been an accomplished leader for so many years, right? We hear what America's credit union has to say. Earlier CUNA and NAFQ, multiple lobbying bodies. They are amazing, I would say, representatives of all of us, right? They go and represent us across the ecosystem. But a very personal opinion from you, right? Unabashed. Where do you think is the credit union industry is heading to, right? And what are your predictions for the next 1 year? I mean, starting from 2024 Q2 to next year. I know the rates are still soaring high, net interest margins are still squeezing. I mean, I cannot help. I cannot ask the feds to reduce the rates, but that's a pain which everyone has to feel
You
through it.
can't make that happen. Well,
I
then
can.
this podcast is over. I thought that you could make that happen,
Wish I could do that. I would
right?
love. I'm in Texas right now in a credit union conference. If I could do that, I literally
Yeah.
go over there and go, all buzzing and tell my credit union friends, guys, there's a news, I've done it, and they'll be so happy. But yeah, jokes apart. But one question, yeah, again. So where do you think is the industry
Yeah.
heading towards, and what's your prediction?
I see a couple of different things going on in terms of credit unions wanting to grow and survive. One of the things that I'm seeing that I don't love is that credit unions are becoming more and more competitive with each other, and it's not doesn't feel the way that it used to feel. So, before we always felt like there was space enough for all of us, and we're really going after the bank customers. But now I'm starting to see some credit unions really going after each other, and I really wish that I wasn't seeing that. I think it's just going to get more competitive. It's harder for the smaller credit unions. So lots and lots of mergers, lots of M&A activity, and then lots of expansion and trying to steal market share from each other, which I don't love that. But the other thing that I'm seeing, and I mentioned it, that I do love is more and more credit unions leaning into financial well-being as their why. So I think some credit unions are transactional and thinking about, I'm going to make this move so that I can grab market share or mind share and build my brand. And some credit unions are focused on, we want to do the right thing and help people, and that's how we're going to differentiate ourselves and survive. So I really encourage credit unions to really think about why we were formed. How did this whole crazy movement even start? And if we could really focus on serving our members, that's the best thing that we could do. And if we're the best at serving our members, then good luck. Have at it. You come for us, but you're going to have to be better at serving our members than we are. And if we're really focused on helping, it just feels like a better way to show up to work every day.
Absolutely. I mean, it's both a pain and I would say the reality of today. That
Yeah.
trade unions are competing against each other, but I think that makes you more equipped to go and compete with the big fintechs, right? I mean, they're
Yeah.
always in your backyard trying to steal is a very wrong word, but yes, trying to steal your members to
Yeah.
make them as customers, right? So that's I would say that keeps you, very vigilant, aware of what is happening. That also helps you innovate. It helps you get you new product lines, financial wellness,
Yeah.
attracting
Yeah.
new members, using data
Mhm.
AI to make more informed financial wellness, uh, member acquisition, right? So I think that really helps the organization to also flourish and grow when you compete against. But that's not the ecosystem that we want to thrive, right? We are not banks. We are credit unions.
Yes.
But, but absolutely. But Kathy, thanks a lot. I mean, I appreciate you jumping into a call, that too for 1 hour for me on a Tuesday, relatively morning, right? It's still
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the day. But thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Uh,
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it. Bye bye.
Have a great day.
You too.